"This man is innocent. This man is innocent. He saved my life." These were the words that rang out as the martyr, Blessed Peter O'Higgins, mounted the gallows. We're here on the grounds of St. Eustace's Dominican Priory in Newbridge, the grounds also of the Dominican College here. The Dominicans arrived here in the mid-18th century. Before that, they were northeast in Yeomanstown, and before that, they were in Naas since the 14th century. There are no physical traces remaining of that foundation, but the traces of Dominican life are preserved in the place names in Naas, like Sunday's Well, for example. St. Sunday was a nickname, as you know if you saw our video on Sunday's Gate in Drogheda. Sunday was a nickname for St. Dominic. The founders of that community in Naas, the founding patrons, were the Fitzeustace family. And that's why the community is called St. Eustace's Priory. It's also why in the crest of Newbridge College there are symbols associated with the life of St. Eustace, a hunter who experienced a conversion while out hunting. This man, Peter O'Higgins, was a member of that community in Naas. He was born around the year 1600 and grew up during a time of intense anti-Catholic persecution. He studied for the priesthood in Spain because doing so was impossible here in Ireland. His name turns up in a list of Irish Dominican friars studying in Spain. We're not sure where exactly. It may have been Salamanca or Toledo or elsewhere. Many Irish friars were studying there and preparing for the mission back in Ireland. The religious persecution that led to young Father Peter studying in Spain was causing major disruption in Ireland at the time. Catholics, both wealthy and impoverished, were chafing at the restrictions placed on their religious practice and objecting also to the practice of plantation, where Protestant settlers loyal to the Crown were being granted land in Ireland. In 1641, a major Catholic uprising took place, ultimately unsuccessful. After several generations of persecution, many Catholics were intensely resentful towards their Protestant neighbours. And so in some cases, there were very regrettable incidents of mob violence against the persons and properties of Protestants. Many of these Protestants fled to the safety of Dublin, and they took with them their reports of persecution, which were recorded. One name turns up many times in those reports: Father Peter O'Higgins, not as a leader of persecution against Protestants, but in fact as somebody who stood up to various Catholic mobs, stood up to his own flock to cool their heads and to calm them down. He was clearly a man of great moral courage. The authorities in Dublin weren't slow in responding to this uprising, and various military expeditions were sent out to clamp down on the Catholic population, with orders in some cases to execute any Catholic priests that were found. One of these groups of soldiers arrived in Naas in January 1642. Father Peter O'Higgins, in fact, voluntarily came to the Marquess of Ormond, who was commanding those forces, to offer himself up. He had done no wrong as far as he was concerned, and he knew that his Protestant neighbours would speak up for him. Ormond was favourable towards him. He took him into his custody, brought him to Dublin, with every intention, it seems, of campaigning for his release with the help of Protestant witnesses. One of these witnesses was a certain William Pilsworth, the son of the Church of Ireland Bishop of Kildare. He described being caught at one stage by a group of Catholic rebels who were prepared to lynch him. But then, he says, a priest whom I never saw before approached and made a long speech on my behalf, saying that this was a bloody, inhuman act that would draw God's vengeance on them. Whereupon, William says, I was brought down and released. The priest was Father Peter O'Higgins, but even this extraordinary testimony didn't secure his release. He was held in prison, offered release if he gave up his Catholic faith and publicly renounced it, but he refused. He was strengthened by the sacraments. A fellow Dominican, probably Father Dominic Nugent, the prior of St. Saviour's, Dublin, visited him and heard his confession. He was ready for death. On the 23rd of March, 1642, he was hanged on St. Stephen's Green. and his corpse was stripped and exposed for mockery. Before his death, he publicly proclaimed his Catholic faith, his membership of the Dominican order, and he gave thanks to God. He forgave all those who brought him to the gallows. As he mounted the gallows, it was none other than William Pillsworth who cried out, "This man is innocent. This man is innocent. He saved my life."